I get it. When you have a party, you get to control the guest list. You get to invite your friends. You're the one planning the party. You're the one getting the decorations, getting the band, hiring the caterer, whatever it is, whatever kind of party that you're having. Obviously, it's your party, your rules, your house, your rules, right? When Democrats hold parties here in the Fredericksburg area, they certainly control the guest list. And we have another example of a party for Democrats disguised as a round table to talk to average, everyday citizens, held in Fredericksburg, and they strictly controlled the guest list and will tell you which of all the news organizations to come out and cover this roundtable that cover the Fredericksburg region. You guessed it, we weren't invited. And I'll get into that. I'll tell you why. Hello, everyone. I'm Uriah Kaiser. I'm the publisher, founder, chief bottle washer at Potomac Local News. Thanks for joining us here. Please like this video and subscribe to keep local news alive in our communities, whether you're in Fredericksburg, Manassas, or Woodbridge. We are covering your hometown, and we can't do it without your help. So please sign up for our free daily email at potomaclocal.com and do not miss a headline. So I want to pull up this series of articles here today. This one from the good folks at the Fredericksburg Advance. They were one of the news organizations that was invited to come to this roundtable. Again, this Democrat gathering is what it is, held in Fredericksburg. Senator Mark Warner is kicking off his reelection campaign for the next cycle, which I believe is very near, I believe it's 2027. And he's a veteran senator. He has ran, I think he's been senator at least since 2000, the late 2000s, the late aughts, despite saying that he would be a two-term senator and would be done. This is a classic clip that runs every time he announces his reelection. That clip always shows up in everyone's feed of him back, I believe it was in the late 90s, early 2000s, saying that if he ever served as senator after serving as governor, as Virginia's governor, and he was a very popular governor back in Virginia in 2001 when he was elected. Obviously, we're looking at those popularity ratings this week as we got the poll that told us Abigail Spanberger has seen a massive reduction in her popularity since she was elected in a landslide back in November. So we're looking, that's why these popularity numbers are fresh in my head. Let's go to the article here. Warner holds roundtable on veterans issues with elected officials and area leaders. According to the most recent report from the Department of Veterans Affairs, roughly 17.5 military veterans die by suicide every day, a number that is still too high and that Pamela Johnson Hood, a local mental health care provider, worries will increase. Speaking at a roundtable, the event hosted Thursday at the Griffin in Fredericksburg, Johnson Hood said she not only works primarily with veterans, but is the mother and the spouse of veterans herself. Thursday's roundtable, which brought together elected officials and local military-connected business owners and community leaders to talk about strengthening federal support for veterans, was part of a series of events kicking off Democrat Mark Warner's campaign for re-election to the Senate. Warner had something to say about the challenges and triggering events Johnson Hood referred to, discussing the war with Iran and cuts to federal workforce by the Trump administration, which disproportionately affects veterans and resulted in new Veteran Affairs Healthcare Center in Spotsylvania not being fully staffed. We're focused on that VA center down there at 4 Mile Fork, not operating at 100%. We covered this Potomac Local last year. I actually went to a roundtable of discussion held by Mark Warner at a hotel in Central Park in Fredericksburg. This was back when Potomac Local was on the guest list. And so we've got this article here. We got the Fredericksburg Free Press also. Mark Warner spelling out doom and gloom. There he is, seated by Senator Tim Kaine, who was there. So you had Virginia's senatorial power in Fredericksburg. You have Eugene Vindman. He's the Democrat congressman for this area. Very partisan Democrat congressman, one of the most partisan congressmen I've ever seen in Virginia since he was elected back in 2022. And this Free Press article saying the economic downturn resulting from the U.S. war in Iran could last months, potentially years. Mark Warner said Thursday it could be one thing if just gas prices were up, but so are costs for diesel, fertilizer, and other products. Warner, Virginia state senator, senior senator, who is seeking a fourth term this year, said he keeps thinking even his Republican peers will eventually get fed up with President Donald Trump's military tactics, but that hasn't happened. You have here again this Democrats. It's a round table in name only. You don't see any conservative politicians here. You don't see any Tara. I don't see Tara Durant here. She is one of the last remaining Republicans in the Northern Virginia area representing Fredericksburg. I don't see her input here. This is not a bipartisan event. This is a Democrat-held party to spout Democrat talking points. Some of them are valid, right? The inflation numbers came out yesterday. They're not that much lower. Obviously, they're down from 2022 under Joe Biden when it was at 7%. We're down now to about 2.5. So it's flat, right? But it's much better than it was back under Joe Biden. So some of these points are valid, but what's not valid is this is a round table. It is by no means a round table where an exchange of ideas are facilitated. And what it is, it's a campaign rally. It disguised as a roundtable. And once again, this news organization, and I'm going to speak personally here, Potomac Local, I'm a founder and publisher, as I said at the top of the video, chief bottle washer. I love that term because it means a whole different number of things. When you're a business owner, you do you wear a lot of hats. And this is yet another event that Democrats have snubbed this news organization, especially in the Fredericksburg area, which is locally controlled by Democrats. Pretty much all of North Virginia is locally controlled by Democrats. But we get this more often in Fredericksburg than not. And we've been covering the Fredericksburg area to include Stafford County since we started back in 2010. It's hard to say that after 16 years, Potomac Local is not a tried and true local news organization. We're older than both the Fredericksburg Free Press and the Fredericksburg Advance, whom we respect. We're glad they're here. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad these two news organizations, Fredericksburg Advance, Fredericksburg Free Press, the Freelance Star, Inside Nova, Washington Post, I'm glad they're here. We need more reporters in this area because we certainly cannot cover everything. And in today's age, if they have something that is new that I think Potomac Local subscribers, news readers would find valuable, I will link out to these guys and make sure that they see their work, because it's not like it was 30 years ago where we're beating each other up and having to be first and competing. The competition has fell by the wayside, folks. We've lost 1,500 local daily newspapers across the country in the past 20 or so years. So that'll competition, it's really out the window now. And what we have is more of an ecosystem where somebody's maybe printing a newspaper, somebody like us is doing an online newsletter, website, somebody's on a Twitter account or X account reporting what they see, someone's on Facebook, someone has a TikTok, a YouTube page. It's an ecosystem, and local people are doing their own thing. And if they're reporting factual truths, then we at Potomac Local find that valuable. We will share that information because that's what it is. It's an ecosystem. But the point I'm making here is we continue to be left off that guest list. Remember that guest list I was talking about? Because we tend, when we go to these things, we tend to ask tough questions of the leaders, as I was trained as a journalist to ask the tough questions, to not take things at face value, to press on issues that are important to our audience. Where our audience, they have concerns about raising their family, paying their bills, rising costs, some of these things that were discussed in this very meeting. And the Democrats at Warner's campaign, at Kaine's campaign, and especially at Eugene Vindman, his office, continually leave us off the guest list every single time. They like friendly media. It's a term in the press world, friendly media, and it appears that they have identified the Fredericksburg Advance and the Fredericksburg Free Press as a friendly media who will come and listen and write what is said and apparently not push back too much because they still were left on the guest list. I know this from experience, again, been publishing, just publishing Potomac Local for just 16 years and working in media prior to that, working in television prior to starting Potomac Local and in newspapers. It's very apparent. This happens not only in the city of Fredericksburg, but in Stafford County and other jurisdictions where Vindman is present. And this makes me, I'm only assuming here, but that I would assume that Vindman, since he's the local congressman, could have very well organized this event. And the venue here, the Griffin, is owned by Joel Griffin, who is a Democrat, as a politician, he is a Democrat, heavily invested into the party. He ran an unsuccessful campaign back in 2023, I believe it was, during the Virginia Senate campaign. He moved from Stafford County into Fredericksburg. He has bought up several restaurants. He is a restaurateur. He's an investor. And this makes total sense for this Democrat Party to be held here at the Griffin of his namesake, Joel Griffin, here at this venue here. And I can also speak to the fact that back about a year ago, we ran a tragic story about the death of then Delegate Candy King's daughter. The school, Prince William County Public Schools, put out a statement about the death of King's daughter. It's a tragic story. It's a horrible story. Candy King, a very public person. She's now working for Governor Abigail Spanberger in her cabinet. She's a high-profile person in the community. The school division posted a public statement about this, noting there would be grief counselors at this high school where the child attended. And awful story. We posted its news, given the fact that the school division made a statement about it. And of course, she's the daughter of a high-profile public figure in our community. And I received several phone calls, one of them being from the chief of staff of Eugene Vindman, saying that if I didn't take that story down, we would never be invited to another Democrat event ever again. And it looks like that has been true, because Vindman has been at several events here in our region, to include not only this one here in Fredericksburg, but also there was a check presentation in Stafford County for road work or something like that. I think it had to do with the Brook Road flooding. And these are easy things for us to get to and cover for us. Believe it or not, we actually have more people, freelance writers, freelance reporters, who are in the Fredericksburg area than we do anywhere else. Woodbridge or Manassas just happens to be that way. If you want to help us out, cover more news in the Woodbridge and Manassas area, please let me know. Because as it stands, I have more freelancers in the Fredericksburg area to cover these types of things. So it's a very easy lift for us to get out to something like this and to, again, listen. We don't go to these things and be disruptive and start shouting questions and all of that stuff. We do what is customary, and we wait till after the event, after the party has concluded, and then we are professional handlers of these high-profile politicians, like the two senators, Kaine and Warner. Their handlers will pull them over for a press gaggle, and at which point the press will then ask questions of the participants here. And I know people from the Free Press and the Fredericksburg Advance, they don't do that. There's a decorum that we represent ourselves very professionally, and we will continue to do that even when we are invited to these events. Wanted to put that out there. Two senators and Congressman Eugene Vindman were in the community. This is what they're talking about. They, again, call it a roundtable, but it is clearly it is a Democrat campaign rally for Warner, and figured it would be best if you knew about that. And we will continue to bring you local news like this. Please like this video. Please subscribe to our channels, whether they be Facebook or YouTube. And please, most importantly, go to our website, potomaclocal.com, and sign up for that free daily email newsletter so you never miss a story. Thanks a lot. We'll see you on the next one.